They've made it through the forge of the qualifiers. Now it's time for them to face each other. Welcome to Clash Royale Gamestars Season 2. From October 18th to 22nd, best players from 3 regions and invited stars will clash in the group stage on the way to the throne and $30,000 prize pool. Who will survive this massacre and move forward? Tune in and watch the Royal Clash.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Gamestars Season 2. That's right, Season 2. And we are in the international group stage, and today is a very, very special day. 16 of the best semi-pro players from around the world have gathered to battle for over $30,000 in prizes. We already had to say goodbye to one of them yesterday in Dia Boom, our first eliminated player, from Group A, and we're gonna have to say goodbye to another one today in Group B, and this is our prize pool distribution at the international finals. As you can see, $7,000 going to first place. Second place going to get $3,400. Third, $22,000. And a big part of GameStars is our cards and deck format. Yesterday, we were talking about it just a little bit. It's the same as Season 1. Each player has to bring 3 decks to the competition. They have to win with all 3 decks, but those decks can only repeat 6 of the same cards, so you can go with the same win condition over and over, as we saw Predator play yesterday with minor wall breakers, but you have to switch up at least 2 cards. Lucky for him, there's a Valkyrie Tesla version on top of the Knight Bomber version, or Bomb Tower version, excuse me. So let's take a look here at the decks. Those were the most popular cards that we saw yesterday. No surprise in the Mother Witch, the Log, the Fireball. Arrows and Mega Minions starting to pop up quite a bit, and we saw a lot of Graveyard. As you can see right here, half of the decks on the screen are all Graveyard decks, but you also see the numbers next to them, and win rates not so great, really, when you look at those win rates. The best one at 50%, but if you look at some of the other decks that you'd expect, minor wall breakers control at 66% there. That's a big part of Predator. But then in the top left-hand side, you see the most used deck is also one of the most popular decks in all of Grand Challenges and Ladders right now, and that is going to be that Royal Giant Cycle deck. Fireballs galore, Mother Witch spawning the pigs, so much great control in that deck. Let's take a look at what we did yesterday. It was an awesome day of competition with 4 great players, but we did have to say goodbye to Dia Boom there at the bottom left-hand side of your screen. The Awesome was able to stay alive, and he'll face off against Lucas GSM, who started his day off perfectly, but then struggled in his final set in the winner's match against Predator from Belarus, who was on top of his game yesterday. Just complete control, always understanding the matchups, never overextending himself, and always getting those miners on tower. Let's take a look at Group B, because it's a very special group today. Our former GameStar champion in Hugo CR from France. It was just a few months ago that he walked away with the grand prize, that first place, and of course all the accolades and bragging rights that come behind winning GameStars. But he's going to run into Saint Belican, one of the best pros out there in the world, and that's going to be our second matchup of the day. We're going to start our day off with Inthril versus Gens Aslan. I was saying Gen C Aslan for a long time, but I think it's Gens Aslan from Turkey and Inthril from Poland. Both of these guys very successful in Season 1 of GameStars. Neither of them able to take the victory, as they all were very high up and ended up playing in our playoffs, and they've been putting in a lot of work in the meantime. Both of them ranked high up on our CRL leaderboard, either one, which means they've been playing very well on ladder. So 4 best of 5s coming your way today, starting with Inthril and Gens Aslan. Then we'll go to Hugo and Saint Belican, and I could not be more excited. You talk about the groups that we have: A, B, C, and D, only 4 groups. Each group has 1 invited player that finished in the top 4 last season of GameStars, but this Group B is truly stacked. Any one of these players could go off and win the entire competition. I would not be surprised. All of them having great success in the regional finals stage. Of course, that's why they're here, right? You talk about Gens Aslan winning the Middle East. You look at Inthril, and he ended up in 4th place over in Western Europe. Saint Belican getting 2nd place in Western Europe, and of course, our former champion in Hugo CR just gets that invite, that golden ticket to come on through our international group stage. And hello, hi, I'm Andrew Guy. I don't even know if I said hi to you guys yet. I'm a commentator here. And as much as you guys might like to listen to me, let's hear from our players that are going to be facing off today, starting with our first set between Gens Aslan and Inthro from Poland.
Merhabalar, ismim Kadir. Oyundaki ismim Genç Aslan. Şu anda da yaklaşık 7300 kupayım.
Mam na imię Wiktor, mój nick w grze to Intr125, no i na ten moment mam prawie 7000 pucharków.
Clash Royale yaklaşık olarak 4 yıldır oynuyorum. Arkadaşlarımın tavsiyesi üzerine de başladım. Hala da devam ediyorum.
Gram w Clash Royale już od praktycznie 5 lat, ale miałem po drodze roczną przerwę, więc tak jakby podsumowując, gram łącznie 4 lata.
Boş zamanlarımda genelde müzik dinlerim. Bazen de spora giderim. Tek başıma gezmeyi seviyorum.
Czas wolny głównie spędzam ucząc się do egzaminów, ponieważ jestem teraz na ostatnim roku liceum w moim kraju, w mojej szkole. Więc w maju będę miał egzaminy do napisania, no ale poza tym jeszcze spotykam się ze znajomymi i oczywiście gram w Clash Royale.
Gel desem de olmazsa olmaz 3 tane kartım var. Kraliyet Devi, Balıkçı ve Alev Topu.
Mój idealny deck na pewno by posiadał Fireballa, ponieważ w tej mecie Fireball jest niezbędny. Szkieletony za jeden eliksir, no i pewnie jakieś kart kanon do obrony, a poza tym jakieś karty, które po prostu lubię.
Clash Royale yeni başlayanlar için kupa kasacağınız desteği tek deste olmalı ve kartları maxlamak zaten zor, altın falan. Mücadele olarak da çokça pratik yapmalısınız. Üçüncü olarak da oynayacağınız desteği oynayanları izleyebilirsiniz farklı platformlarda.
Jakbym miał dać jakieś 3 wskazówki dla nowych graczy, to byłyby one na pewno nie zmieniać decków po każdej porażce, tylko grać jednym od początku, nieważne jaki to deck. Po prostu trenować, uczyć się nim grać, no i nie zniechęcać się szybko, trwać przy tym decku. No i poza tym jeszcze na pewno polecałbym im oglądanie takich turniejów jak Gamestars, uczenie się od dobrych graczy, jak zachowują się w danej sytuacji. No i też na pewno analizowanie ich własnych walk. Jak skończą rozgrywki, to mogą analizować, jakie błędy popełnili i jakich błędów potem nie popełniać.
Rakiplerime bol şans diliyorum. Çünkü bence ihtiyaçları olacak. Bu turnuvaya iyi bir şey yapabileceğimi düşünüyorum turnuvada.
No, przeciwnicy w mojej grupie na pewno są bardzo mocni. Myślę, że moja grupa jest najcięższa ze wszystkich na Gamestars, ale łatwo się nie dam. Na pewno łatwo ze mną nie będą mieli.
And we're back! GameStars Clash Royale Season 2 is running full steam, packed with high-octane action, intricate strategy, and mountains of gold. Mix the elixirs and hop on your hog, Chief. Time to find out who will dominate the clans. Subscribe, join our stream, and witness brave heroes fighting in GameStars Clash Royale Season 2. Ride on, piggy!
Greetings, kings and queens. Do you know what are two of the most ridiculous things that Clash Royale fans can do? The first one, attacking Gollum with arrows. And the second one, missing the GameStars Clash Royale Season 2 tournament. Because this is gonna be a spectacular clash of the most powerful players in the world. Let's take a look at how everything works here. From August to September, the open qualifiers were held in 3 regions: Western Europe, Eastern Europe, and Middle East. 8 best players from each region advanced to corresponding national finals. 4 best players from each national finals moved to the international finals. So we have 12 nationals finalists in total, who were enforced by 4 invited stars. Top 4 players from GameStars Clash Royale Season 1. The international finals will consist of 2 stages, the group stage and the playoffs. In the group stage, all 16 players will be seeded into 4 groups with 4 participants each. There they will play classic best of 5. 2 most powerful players from each group will advance to the next stage. As for the rest, we'll wish them success in the next season of GameStars. In other words, 8 players will make it to the playoffs, which will be held in a double elimination format. That means players will have a second chance to fight for the throne, and not only for the throne. The tournament's prize pool of $30,000 is at stake. Do not miss the main esport event in the world of Clash Royale. The group stage will be held from October 18th to the 22nd, and the epic playoff awaits for you from November 3rd to the 5th. So grab your royal snacks and check out the fierce battles of GameStars Clash Royale Season 2.
Well, you heard it all laid out there for you. GameStars CR on Twitter. Follow us on YouTube. Make sure you're subscribed. Turn on those notifications so you know that we go live every single time that it happens, and we're going to be doing it all week long. That's right, we had competition yesterday and every day for the rest of this work week to lead you right into the weekend, starting with Group B today. And I see a lot of you guys in the chat excited to see Gens Aslan play today, and why wouldn't you be? This player from Turkey is an exceptional player. He was in the top from last season of GameStars. Now, he wasn't in the top 4. The top 4 were Lucas GSM, One Hive Hunter, Hugo, who won it all, and of course SB. Those were our 4 invited players. But to no surprise, Gens Aslan did win his division once again in our regional qualifiers. And when you go and you look at what he's done, he's ranked 64 on the leaderboards in CRL, as is his opponent, not quite ranked as high at 262nd in Inthro from Poland, but Gens Aslan was a very strong player in GameStars. You might have been seeing him in CRL or in those qualifiers. Of course, you look at him in ESL Turkey, Queso Cup. He's been doing a lot of work in the competitive scene in 2020 and 2021. Honestly, it looks like he has almost 20 competitions under his belt just within the last 18 months. And another one added right now here in GameStars Season 2. You heard it in the video, $30,000 on the line. Gens Aslan already walked away with 500 in the regionals from the Middle East. It was him, Mini Kuma, The Awesome, and COK. You know, talking about what we saw in our finals, just a few months ago, it was back in June when we crowned Hugo the winner. It was Lucas GSM and One Hive Hunter who faced off against each other in the semifinals, and then it was Hugo going up against SB. In the semifinals, Hugo was able to best SB and go on to the grand finals with One Hive Hunter, who was able to beat Lucas GSM from Portugal, who you guys saw play yesterday. He will be in that decider match on Friday. And then it was ultimately Hugo who took the win there and took the gold, took the cash, took the prize, took it all. And he's back once again here in Season 2 to prove his worth. We're just a minute or so away from hopping into our very first game. Great to have all you guys here with us. I'm very excited about this group. When you talk about the groups out there, there's a lot of great groups. Group B, though, does seem to be stacked to the brim with talent. When you talk about our former champion, when you talk about St. Belican, our former CRL pro, you know, if you guys don't know St. Belican, he's been around for a long time, whether it was on Queso, whether it was on CRB, whether he was, I mean, everywhere. This guy has been everywhere for years and years and years. He's been around since I first started commentating back in 2017, and he's been a great player ever since then. He took a little bit of a break from CRL because of university, but still has been putting in the time, putting in the practice, and he was very impressive in our Western Europe regionals, where he fell to Ligon CR, but there was a bit of an issue there with the let's call it league ops, if you will, or maybe just a little bit of a miscommunication and understanding of what had happened in that day. But St. Belican only lost one of his sets, and it was a double elimination set situation. It doesn't really matter because it wasn't about the cash prize from the regional qualifiers, which is, I think, why we didn't have like a league investigation, if you will, because he was still going to make it on through to the international group stage, which really is the most important part of getting to the international finals. As I said, 4 best of 5 happening all week long Monday through Thursday is going to be one group at a time, as we saw yesterday in Group A. One player will make it through to the international finals by the end of that day. One player will be completely eliminated from the competition. The other 2 of 4 in that group are all going to face off on Friday. So the 2 remaining players from A through D will face off on Friday in our deciding match day. On that day, we're going to send 4 players home and 4 players forward. So a lot at stake on Friday. You do not want to miss when we go live on Friday, because it is going to be a hot, heavy, exciting, great day of competition. So do not set your clocks, set your alarms right now. And as I said, we're about to hop in to our first game of the day, 4 best of 5s coming your way. And to talk a little bit more about that format, each player has to bring 3 decks to the competition. 6 of those cards can repeat, but you have to win with all 3 of your decks. And we saw Diaboom yesterday struggle quite a bit with his double spawner deck. At this level, it's very difficult to make those decks be as impactful as they might be on ladder or in grand challenges. Royal Hogs, on the other side of it, incredibly popular right now, but running right into a bomb tower. Aslan may be looking for that. And also Aslan looking like he got a little bit of a cleanup there. Hair looking nice. And I can see here in the chat all the Aslan fans hanging out. Great to have you guys here. And hopefully he makes you all proud. Mother Witch comes down to meet those skeleton dragons. A couple piggies going to populate the map. And Inthril responds with a goblin cage. These guys have faced each other many times before. As I was saying, Gens Aslan ranked 64th on the CRL leaderboards as he drops his first graveyard today, and the Mother Witch comes out, met with a fireball, easily clean her up, and no tank there for those skeletons, very little damage done. Inthril on the other side of it, ranked 262nd in our CRL leaderboard, 10 Grand Challenge wins, badge under his belt with just 10 more away from getting that 100 Grand Challenge wins. On the other side of it, Gens Aslan, 28 away from getting his 100 win Grand Challenge badge. Both these guys 20 win challenge players. Excuse me, only Aslan is a 20 win player. So double elixir coming your way, and not a lot of action has happened. Fireball going to come out and miss the Mother Witch there. Not what Inthril wants. You can see a little smile on his face going, okay, man, that's not what I need to start my day. But luckily for him, he does have the cannon cart and the skeletons. I don't know if the skeletons were actually necessary, but once that Mother Witch was locked on, nothing to really worry about there. Royal Hogs going down the right-hand lane as Aslan's trying to build a push in the left side. He lets that Mega Minion kind of go off into no man's land as these Skeleton Dragons are going to meet that Cannon Cart. High Mega Minion here, good. Going to take one of those Skeleton Dragons out of play and tank for the other one. But Goblin Brawler's still there. No Cannon Cart connection, no Graveyard coming in, and we're going to reset here with another Cannon Cart in the back for Aslan. Graveyard coming in now that those piggies are on the board, and Mother Witch still in tow as she's going to turn another one of these Skeleton Dragons into a pig, and Fireball comes down on the back end, and despite all the blue that was on the map, not a lot of damage came through. 1920 remains, and now this is great Fireball value if Aslan can get back around to it. He gets the Snowball out first. Cannon Cart gets pushed back with the Snowball, and you can see Inthril shifting his body weight, knowing that that was a very, very great play, a heads-up Snowball, and now Aslan, feeling the pressure, goes right back on the offensive. Another Graveyard down. Mother Witch there. Fireball should be coming down. No, Aslan, there it is. Fireball in on both sides of the board. Still no tank there. One piggy on the tower, bringing it down to 1550, essentially, as Inthril goes for a sellout push here. Bomb tower down. Gonna need a Snowball soon. Snowball in. Mega Minion still there. Bomb tower bomb should do cleanup. And this is not quite wrapped up yet. Just 70 seconds left of gameplay. Inthril getting very aggressive here. Graveyard does come down, doesn't have the Mother Witch in cycle. Skeleton Dragons behind, Fireball in. Fireball down for Inthril, and he is up 1-0 to start his day here. And that's exactly what you want to see, right? You don't get the bomb tower, or you have the bomb tower with your Royal Hogs, no problem at all. Just play some good, strong defense, turn that into a massive counter push. And the biggest problem there for Aslan was that he had to hold that fireball to take the Mother Witch off of the board, or else his graveyard would have never really had any impact. So this is where the good things happen for Inthril. As you can see, just getting knocked back a little bit. I believe I said snowball. I meant to say log. It was the snowball that came out from Aslan, but the log that knocked that cannon cart back, pushed it right out of tower range. Inthril connects with his own cannon cart, and he is now up 1-0. Somewhat similar looks on the ground. I guess maybe really only just because of the cannon cart. One goes Royal Hogs, one goes Graveyard, and once again, Graveyard not having a ton of success. I mean, Mother Witch is everywhere. Why wouldn't she be? And plus, with the format that is in GameStars, you could essentially have a Fireball Mother Witch in every single one of your decks if you really wanted to. Now, obviously, that doesn't work into every single archetype out there in the meta, but coming out early in a set, why not? Why not have four of the strongest cards in the game, really, if you're looking at Inthril? You talk about the Mother Witch, the Fireball, the Goblin Cage, and those Piggies. And on the other side of it, really not much of a step behind in Aslan, because you do have the Mother Witch, Fireball, Snowball, and Cannon Cart, and the Mega Minion. All of those cards really highly used as of late, whether you're talking Grand Challenges or on that top ladder leader board. Aslan down one game here to start our first best of 5. Winner of this will go on to play against the winner of St. Bellican versus Hugo. Obviously, Hugo, our former champion, and the loser will sit and wait in the wings to play against the loser of St. Bellican versus Hugo in an elimination match. That'll be our third matchup of the day. But right now, going into our second game of the day between Inthril from Poland and against Aslan from Turkey. Goblin Cage and Fishboy early make me think we're going to Royal Giant again, and Inthril on the other side of it. A couple options out there, but Inferno Dragon always a pest to deal with, at least in this current meta. Not a lot of lightning out there, and not a lot of great ways to get on top of the Inferno or a reset. But an Electro Wizard will do it just fine. It's looking like aspects of bridge spam here. Ram Rider. We'll see, though. Mega Knight's just pounding away. And Graveyard comes out again for Aslan. No tank. Or, excuse me, tank in, but poison down. Royal Ghost does a pretty good job of cleaning up that MK along with the poison for those skeletons, and does get a couple swings on the opposite side. Inthril back in the lead. Aslan not loving that as he gives a quick little stare to his camera. And that stare elongated by maybe a little bit of lag. Aslan maybe not too happy with the way that some interactions have gone his way today, and honestly probably not too happy about the fact that his opponent has such a great response to his MK with his own MK or Inferno, and the fact that he has poison to deal with that Graveyard. We'll see how Aslan wants to play through it, as I know there's a lot of fans here watching and waiting for him to pull out his first W today. So MK's down in both directions, Ewiz and Toe to support. Get that stun and reset there. One leap, though, does go in favor of Aslan, who gets on top of Inthril's Ewiz, and now he likes to push hard here. MK plus Ewiz, poison at the bridge, and a Ram Rider reset. Nice stuff there, but Snowball comes down for Aslan, and that MK almost gets a leap on the tower, but tower damage already done. Great job there with the Snowball, and Ram Rider kind of sent off into no man's land, doesn't get anywhere near the tower, and that Mega Knight does leap back and forth, but still tanks for a good amount of time. Poison up high at the river was demanded out of Inthril by a great bit of pressure by Aslan when you talk about the Ewiz, the MK, and the Hunter all crossing at the same time. Poison had to come down, and that's really going to be his MO for the rest of this game, is trying to get his opponent to spend heavy right there. There it is once again. Now that he's spent heavy at the river, how does he turn this into offense? And you're seeing it right now. Electro Dragon comes up high. Ewiz right there to reset. Poison is down offensively now, and that's going to be tower down. We're going to game number 3, all tied up. Beautiful, beautiful control there. And actually, really, I think the more impressive thing was just making your opponent do what you wanted them to do. Aslan, very simple for him. Once he recognized what he was running into, he recognized his opponent had an MK to stop everything at the river. He had a poison to deal with the graveyard on the back end. So how do you deal with that? Well, I think the first thing that was really great for Aslan is he never had to deal with the Ram Rider offensively. It really was a non-factor. What Aslan kept doing was piling everything up at the bridge, the Hunter, the Ewas, the MK, and he always had that Goblin Cage in his hand to deal with the Ram Rider if he needed to. But you talk about the Hunter and the Ewas being so close, those Ram Riders were really, really ineffective. You have an MK up front to tank for it. He had to, Inthril had to throw down those poisons time after time, exchange after exchange. He had to kite with the Ram Rider. Only 2 Ram Riders played. That's his win condition, and it never even got to have an offensive presence because of what Aslan was doing at the bridge. Great pressure work there. Good snowball work to add in a lot of damage on that second graveyard that came down. Then, of course, the third one to sew things up. Poison on up high. You get a poison on the tower. You got the snowball in with the graveyard, and it's just good night. There's no way to stop it at that point, especially when you talk about not having your poison in cycle because you had to take those units off at the bridge. Maybe Inthril would have been better suited to drop his MK a little bit lower or a little bit later, but then the problem is the opponent's Mega Knight would have been so close to his tower at that point. I guess maybe you tank that MK with your Royal Ghost, save your own MK to drop on top of the Ewiz plus the Hunter, and then you have poison to deal with the graveyard, and then you can set in your Ram Rider. Easier said than done up here in the booth. All tied up going into game 3. So Mother Witch back out here in game number 3 for Inthril, who is going to be on to his, looks like his 3rd deck of the day. E-Barb's running into an LJ. Lumberjack, Dark Prince, Cannon Cart, Bomber. A lot of great splash damage options there and a lot of great single target DPS. As you can see, Inthril looking up, wondering, all right, how am I going to get through this? And Inthril still looking like he's running RG here. And an Electro Dragon. Big fan of the Electro Dragon. I think the E-Dragon has such a strong place in the meta right now. You heard me talk about it a lot yesterday. If you were watching Royale Masters over the weekend, you heard me talk about it a lot there. E-Dragon, really difficult. Great dealing with all those bait troops. Those swarm troops. No great way to take it off the board. Usually if you have a big spell, and these days it's Fireball, and then when you look at units, for instance, if you look at Inthril right here, he does have the Fireball. He'd have to snipe that E-Drag and maybe hit a few troops and then drop the Mega Minion right on top of it, or the Mother Witch, but you usually want to save the Mother Witch to be protected a little bit more. So Fireball takes the Cannon Cart off the wheels, sends in a raged up push here, but nothing really going to break on through. Fishboy might get a slap in, does not because of that reset as Aslan drops the Golem down here. Immediately responded to with a Royal Giant at the bridge and a Mega Minion right behind, maybe looking for a Lumberjack or looking for one of those high damage dealing troops, but damage coming in right now from that Royal Giant, going to bring that tower down to just above 1100 HP. Dark Prince in front, Cannon Cart behind, Golem in tow. Now that Fisherman cannot pull the Golem really where he wants. He can pull him to the center here, but still going to work towards that Princess Tower. Aslan maybe going to drop a NATO in just a moment. No, has to play defense first. Golem gets the tower, gets a little bit of splash damage, death damage there as Aslan resets. Here we go. E-Drag gonna have to come out. There it is. E-Dragon on top of the Royal Ghost. NATO gonna come in. There is the NATO. E-Drag to reset once again. Bomber down. Damage is there. No shot comes in. But 2 Mother Witches on the board. Cannon Cart shooting a little bit slow. Gonna have to support that Cannon Cart with a Dark Prince as Aslan trying to get back on the offensive, down by about 300 HP. Double Dragon here. Cannon Cart up high. Nice Fireball. And does take the Electro Dragon plus the Cannon Cart out of play. Nice Fireball there from Inthril. And a bit of a lane change now as Inthril goes left-hand side. I don't know if I like this play. I think there can be very little attention played to this Royal Giant. There it is, just a Lumberjack. And now Aslan going to double down on this right-hand push. Cannon Cart up high, favored towards the right side. Aslan not getting a ton out of this as that Fish Boy stays on the board and keeps resetting that golem. 1036 to 976 now. Inthril in a good spot because he can go opposite lane. However, Cannon Cart damage coming in. E-Barbs have to come down. And now E-Barbs going towards the left-hand side. Cannon Cart cycled there with a Royal Giant up front. This is a huge moment for this RG. Fireball comes in to clean up the bomber. NATO comes down, no shot in, as the E-Barbs are there to clean up the Dark Prince. Lumberjack, Baby Dragon, opposite lane, Bomber up high, looking for it. Nice Mother Witch, heads up Mother Witch to keep that splash damage off the tower. Royal Giant comes down, and that is a great Royal Giant. I think that is gonna do it. Inthril, RG in, shot in, Fireball down. We're going to game number 4. Inthril up, 2-2-1. Really nicely played with a very strong, pretty heavy Royal Giant deck when you talk about those E-Barbs as opposed to some of the other things that you'll see currently in the meta, but damage done. Great job switching lanes. And that's exactly what he needed to do. He needed to make sure that he baited out just enough of a response out of his opponent so that that Royal Giant would get damage in the opposite lane, but so Aslan could not completely sell out behind his golem, because he did not want to find himself in a situation where the tower wasn't all the way down and he needed to build another golem push. Because when you talk about getting onto tower with the cards that you see in Aslan's hand, not really going to be that easy other than when they're behind a golem, and building an entire golem push at the end of regulation would have been very, very difficult had he been down a tower. So every single time that golem came down, offensive pressure came out from Inthril, whether it was same lane first or opposite lane later on, and that made it so Aslan could not get those pushes that he'd like. And also, you talk about the control on both sides of the board. Aslan doing a really, really good job with what he had, but not having a building there does make it a bit more difficult when you talk about being able to control that Royal Giant. You know, you got the NATO, that helps. You got the E-Drag, but it was really about pouring on that single target DPS, and he had so much splash damage there. Good single target DPS in the Lumberjack and the Cannon Cart, of course, but just not able to get ahead of that Royal Giant. And then you talk about the Fisherman putting in work for Inthril. Here we go. Game 4. Aslan's first loss on the line here, as he will get sent down to that elimination game if he is not able to put this together, and he's going to come right back out with what we saw. It's going to be MK Ram Rider going up against this golem deck. So idea is going to be the same thing for here, which is keep up the pressure from Inthril. Luckily for Aslan, he does have this Electro Dragon, that's going to help a lot at dealing with that Ram Rider. Maybe Inthril not quite thinking about that E-Dragon early on. You saw him kind of take a look up there, but still gets a little bit of damage in on both sides here. No, excuse me, E-Dragon falls off the board just in time. MK going to get some good splash damage in, and that's not what Aslan wants early on. Bandit going to dash on through. LJ has to come down. Inferno Dragon's still there. Bandit will get a hit on that tower, and this E-Dragon raged up, excuse me, Baby Dragon raged up will do some good damage, but that's tower down already in a Golem versus Ram Rider matchup. So Aslan going to probably work towards the left-hand side of this map, but Inthril does have the option to add that King Tower pressure. So that was 50-50 there. Aslan does work towards the left-hand side, but Inthril just setting up a little bit of pressure on that same lane, and now setting up his defense here with an Electro Wizard. You need to get something up high to get on top of that bomber, and there you go. MK setting the line. Now that splash from the E-Drag not going to come in yet, but NATO pulls them both together, and the MK walks back towards the Golem. Now a high Inferno looking for that Lumberjack. Snowball going to take both those out of play. No, Lumberjack stays alive as the Inferno is getting reset. Good damage in here from Aslan, but a big counter push coming down the lane. Ram Rider down below, and this is a lot. How's he going to deal with this? Bomber, Dark Prince, Cannon Cart, all coming down, all coming in. Poison also coming down for Inthrill, and this is a big, big hit here. Golem comes down as that does double duty on top of the Cannon Cart and the Princess Tower. 1599 with 20 seconds remaining to do 1,277 damage to this left-hand side to extend it to a 2-tower game. I think this might be it for Inthrill in this set. NATO's everything together. Golem Bomb gonna go off. E-Drag splash on the tower. Snowball to reset, misses the snowball. Bomber just needs to get some splash. One more E-Dragon shot, there it is. We're going to a 2-tower game. Aslan can't believe it, neither can I, and I'm sure neither can all of his fans in the chat. What a comeback win this would be. Dark Prince sneaks in front of the Golem. Don't want to pile up too much here as Aslan is expecting that MK to come down. There is the MK. E-Dragon help reset all this goodness. Just splashing around that chain lightning. Raged up Cannon Cart, raged up. Gonna help deal with this MK. But Inferno Dragon right behind. E-Dragon still just putting in work. MK off the board. Bandit now no longer in play. Inferno Dragon going to turn and kill this baby dragon. So a reset comes in with that NATO from Aslan, and we'll see if that was maybe a bit of an overspend. Second E-Dragon down with NATO out of cycle. Could be a good time to drop in a Ram Rider, but Inthrill just building up an ocean of red here in this left-hand side. Dark Prince going to pull aside. Royal Ghost up high. Bomber down low. And a very impressive defense there from Aslan. Ram Rider left, Golem right. Ram Rider going to connect on that left-hand side. That's a huge connection there for Inthrill. Lumberjack has to come down to stop the bleeding. MK still tanking. Bandit is there. Second Ram Rider comes down as this big push works down the right-hand side. But this is a race. This is a foot race here. This tower will go down for Aslan if he has enough time. But as of right now, he's just a little bit behind. Mega Knight still there. 939, 898, 857, 775 to 535. Wow. Inthrill escaping by the skin of his teeth. Just about to get overwhelmed as all the blue piling up on that right-hand side, but able to hang on and hold through. He's going on to the next round where he will be in our winner's side of the bracket to play the winner of St. Belican versus Hugo. That's going to be our next matchup of the day. But what a brilliant set here between Aslan and Inthrill, going back and forth in games. Aslan gets the last second tower take in regulation. Right here, this is exactly what I'm talking about. 3, 2, 1, and that chain lightning comes in. We go to a 2-tower game. But unfortunately, I should say for Aslan, it is the player from Poland that will move on. Great set between these two guys. I love the decks that we saw a bit of a change up there. It started kind of what you'd expect. A lot of Graveyard, a lot of Mother Witch, a lot of Fireball, Royal Hogs coming out, Ram Rider. But that last game, those last couple games, Inthrill stuck much more to what is firmly in the meta when you talk about what he played, right? MK Ram Rider, you talk about Royal Giant plus Fireball and Mother Witch, and then of course that first deck that he came out with is the Piggies. Now a little bit of a change up on the Piggies, it was a lot of Fireball bait in that deck with the Cannon Cart, with the Mother Witch, with the Skeleton Dragons, and of course the Royal Hogs, playing really, really well there through an interesting matchup. But that's it. That's going to do it for our first best of 5. 3 more coming your way today. Next up is St. Belican versus Hugo, our former champion of GameStars, going up against our former CRL pro. Do not move a muscle. We'll be back in just a moment.
They've made it through the forge of the qualifiers. Now it's time for them to face each other. Welcome to Clash Royale Gamestars Season 2. From October 18th to 22nd, best players from 3 regions and invited stars will clash in the group stage on the way to the throne and $30,000 prize pool. Who will survive this massacre and move forward? Tune in and watch the Royal Clash.
And we're back. GameStars Clash Royale Season 2 is running full steam, packed with high-octane action, intricate strategy, and mountains of gold. Mix the elixirs and hop on your hog, Chief. Time to find out who will dominate the clans. Subscribe, join our stream, and witness brave heroes fighting in GameStars Clash Royale Season 2. Ride on, piggy!
Our VO guy going hard in the paint. Who is going to survive this massacre to play for $30,000? You love it. You love to get amped up. And who could not be excited for our next matchup today? We just saw the first set go down. Two veterans of Clash Royale and two vets of GameStars, Inthril and against Aslan, going head to head. And it's really tough with this set because we have to say goodbye to one of these players, even though it feels like all four of them belong in our international finals, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles. Hugo from France and St. Belican from the UK up next. Winner goes on to play against Inthril. Loser goes to play against Aslan for their lives. As I said, we already said goodbye to Diaboom yesterday from Russia, and we do have to say goodbye to one more player today. But let's meet him before we say goodbye to him. Let's hear from St. Belican and Hugo.
I'm Hugo Huet. My nickname in Clash Royale is Hugo CRV2. My trophy record is 8,800 trophies.
So hello, my name is Daniel Rian, and you probably know me as St. Bedican, and right now I have 4,000 trophies.
I'm playing Clash Royale for 5 years. I started to play at the game when it has been released.
I've been playing Clash Royale for 5.5 years. I got it the first day it came out, and I've been playing ever since.
I like to spend my free time by playing Clash Royale or watching animes or series.
Right now I'm studying at university as I'm in university accommodation, so I spend most of my free time studying. However, I do like to do a bit of squash and tennis.
My ideal deck would be a minor cycle deck because I really like that. If I can give an advice for new people who play at the game, it can be that watching people like pro players like Morton or Mohamed Light can be really helpful for you.
If you're new in Clash Royale, you should watch pro content creators like Morton, Benihu, Sertag, Enidis, and they can teach you how to become a better player. Secondly, I'd recommend to count your opponent's elixir. Counting opponent's elixir is very important and helps you become a better player. And thirdly, I'd say don't worry too much about your trophy count and worry about improving your actual gameplay, as trophy count that isn't representative of how good you are as a player.
I want to say to my opponents that I will do my maximum against them, and good luck in the arena.
So in my group is Hugo, Inthril and Cenk Aslan. I've played against all of them before, and they've cost me a few bit of prize winning, so I am looking for revenge against them, so good luck because they will need it.
Yeah, well, I guess if you've been playing the game since day one, Belly, you're probably going to run into some of these great players, and you can't win every single one of them, but looking to win all of them today is the man that you just heard from, or both of them that you just heard from. Obviously, Dan, or St. Belican, as you guys all know him, as a CRL pro, whether it was on Cream Royale Betis, Team Queso, Nova Esports. I've been a huge fan of him for a very long time. Or Hugo, as you said, both these guys, how do you get better? You just watch the best in the world play, watch those interactions. I thought it was really interesting because, you know, when you look at their profiles on Royale API right now, you look at Hugo, he's just below 7K. St. Belican on the other side of it, just like he said, don't worry about your trophy count, worry about your actual gameplay. He's sitting at 4,200 trophies, but he has a personal best of 8.5K, so don't get too ahead of yourself there. This is going to be such a fun set. When you talk about this tournament, talk about GameStars in general right now with where we're at in the international group stage, really honestly, you probably got to say that St. Belican is the most esteemed, most established Clash Royale player in the entire competition of all 16, but he is running into a very, very difficult Group B with our former champion in Hugo from France. So, you know, anything could happen. Let's see what happens in this next best of 5. Belican currently right now ranked 69th in the world on the CRL leaderboard. Hugo will be seeing at our last chance qualifier for CRL in just a couple weeks from now. He's ranked 35th in the world, so exciting stuff for him. He's got a couple 20 wins under his belt, you know, 135 Grand Challenge wins, and he's also been playing for 5 years. He's finished in the top 15 of a couple tournaments, and he's finished in the top, we'll say 60 of the arena. When you look at St. Belican, he's got a lot of accolades, 220 win finishes, 361 Grand Challenge wins. He's been playing for 5 years. He has 2 top 5 tournament finishes and a handful of top 20-ish arena finishes. So like I said, St. Belican, one of the better players in the game, one of the better players here in GameStars, and we cannot wait to get this next best of 5 coming your way. One of the best of 5s already in the books, 3 more still on the horizon. Gens Aslan will play one more time today, as will Inthril, and so will so will both these guys in Hugo and St. Belican. So just moments away from our next game. Elimination is the next set up. Aslan and whoever loses this next set between Hugo and Belly will be up on the chopping block. And of course, the winners will be looking to get that golden ticket on through. No one wants to play on Friday. Friday is a big time elimination day. The 4 deciding matches from the 4 respective groups, A through D. We will be pushing 1 player through and saying goodbye to 1 player in all 4 of those best of 5. So that is going to be some exciting stuff. Get your popcorn ready. You're not going to want to miss a thing as we hop into game number 1 here between Hugo and St. Belican. No surprise here from Hugo coming out with Miner. He played a lot of Mortar Miner in the last season of GameStars. Could be going with E-Barbs. Could be going with Balloon. Belican may be running Mortar as well. There it is. Mortar's out in both directions. You know I'm a happy guy. So Belly going for Mortar EQ, probably with Piggies. Nice splash damage there to get on top of that Muskie. And now this Mortar should take... No, does not take the Musketeer out of play. And going to have to get a delivery down on top of that Muskie. Would have been nice to get that cannon card just a couple tiles higher and to the left. That way he could have played double duty, getting that Musketeer off the board as well as the Miner. And now we go for a 3-1 split here. 3 to the right, 1 to the left. Cannon cart there as well. Going to turn all those units around, but a big push coming down the left-hand side. No Royal Delivery to deal with this, and maybe trying to get back around to Knight. There is the Knight. Now a Mortar comes down from Hugo. That Mortar going to be pesky here for Belly. How's Belly going to want to deal with it? Maybe up high with a cannon cart. Going to be his best response. He goes Earthquake instead. Maybe he uses Spear Goblins to clean up. Spear Goblins in from his opponent. Royal Delivery goes down and does a good job of taking some of the attention away from those spears and gets a little bit of damage on top of that Miner. 1459 to 1015. Hugo currently in the lead as we go to double elixir. Mortar comes out for Belican, the weaker of the 2 lanes. Belican been playing a good amount of Lava Clone on ladder. Go back and look at his battles. Playing some double spawner, but it's also in double elixir. Hugo on the other side of it, no surprise. Mortar, Miner, a little bit of RG cycle. Looks like he's been really favoring that Royal Giant deck that is very popular in the meta right now. And of course, Miner control with Mortar. The exact deck that we're seeing here. Actually, I correct myself. A couple swap outs. He was going with a little bit more of a baity aspect. Not as much power here, other than his most recent game. Which he won on ladder, by the way. Picking up 29 trophies, just for fun. Fireball up higher. Mortar down low, going to connect on top of the mortar of Hugo. Earthquake coming down, 483 remaining on that left-hand side as Belican making a good case for himself, but about 600 HP behind and very little time left. Cannon Cart coming across the bridge here, going to be met by some Spear Goblins. High Musketeer, maybe a Musketeer out of Hugo as well. We'll see here in just a moment. No, goes Miner instead to the tower. As Piggies come down, Fireball, great Fireball log value there from Hugo. Belican looking like he might be dropping game number 1. Mortar Knight push here on the right-hand side. EQ comes down. Knight there to distract. Nothing there to catch that Musketeer. And a good game coming out from Belican as he knows that he is in trouble. Log Fireball will do it. There it is. Fireball down. Belly just one step behind as our reigning champion picks up his first game of the day. Very interesting matchup there. Belican having some good responses to that mortar, obviously, with Earthquake, but I think the biggest issue for him was there was just too much pressure coming in on the ground that he had a little bit of difficulty dealing with. He always had to have that Cannon Cart ready or the Knight. It was maybe just a cycle issue there for a little while, and as you can see right here, it would have been nice to be able to do this almost every single time a miner was sent in, but you saw there even early on, Cannon Cart play just a little bit lower, has to have a Royal Delivery come out, maybe just a step behind in Cycle and Elixir because of some of those earlier exchanges. You go smelt or saw or whatever, blood in the water, and just kept going for it. Game 1 in the books, a win for the player from France as him and Belican reset and go on to maybe their second decks, definitely their second deck for Hugo, but we'll see if Belly wants to run it back here with the EQ Royal Hogs Mortar deck. And you can see there, you know, talking about dealing with those ground units and dealing with being able to pick up that miner. A lot of the times you're talking about the Cannon Cart trying to pick up the miner and deal with the units coming across the bridge. Problem there is that usually you're not going to actually catch the miner with the Cannon Cart in those situations. The miner's going to get on top of the tower, get a few shovel hits in as the cannon shoots its little cannonballs at it. But damage still in, as you saw there at the end. Just Hugo sending in those miners over and over and over, and Belican really trying to create pressure in the opposite lane. Good fireballs came in from Hugo, and of course, high Musketeers on top of those mortars. Game number 2. Let's go. So Mother Witch out here for Hugo. Gonna get a Piggy on the board. Belly going back to Cannon Cart, but with Archers feeling more like Graveyard this time around than Royal Hogs. And the Snowball. Fireball coming down to help that Mother Witch take that Cannon Cart off the wheels. And we get a stop and stare here for a moment. Valkyrie plus Minion at the river. Hugo going to go to Royal Giant, as it looks like Belican will go to Graveyard. A very odd and kind of aggressive push here from Belly. Hugo able to cycle all the way back around to another Mother Witch, getting a bunch of pigs on the board. Archer's going to come down behind that tower, but Mother Witch on tower. Fireball going to come in, and Belican going to have to overspend once again. Snowball in, but like I said, damage done as this Hunter will get one shot on this tower. Valkyrie does come down. So Belly spending back down to 1, as this Valkyrie needs to be responded to by Hugo, but he's going to do it very cheaply. Maybe Electro Spirit plus Skeletons. There we go. Hugo ticks to 10 and cycles a log as Belly ticks to 10 and cycles a Mega Minion in the back. You're about to approach double elixir time with a substantial lead in the favor of the Frenchman once again. Hunter going to do a great job cleaning up the Mega Minion plus that Brawler, but a Cannon Cart comes down and helps out. Brawler tanking for that Graveyard. Fireball going to come down on top of the Mother Witch plus the Hog, and now we're going to see some good damage come in from Belican. Skeletons piling up. Another Mother Witch comes down. That cycle is insane. Belly behind by 46 HP now, starting to feel a little bit of momentum swing his way, as Hugo has not really created much offense this game other than just a great counter push based off of an overly aggressive start from St. Belican. And finally, the Royal Giant does come down. Fishboy going to pull that cannon cart away. Cannon cart not focused on the Royal Giant anymore. High Goblin Cage here to deal with that Royal Giant. Does not get a shot in. Fireball coming down. Great exchange there. Belican in the lead by 2. So as of right now, it felt for the entirety of this game, the first 3 minutes, that Hugo was just not able to create any offense, but that's a lot of what you need to do when you're playing Royal Giant. Here we go, Brawler up high, Mega Minion plus Valkyrie behind, all pretty healthy, but this Hunter doing a great job, coupled with that Electro Spirit. Still some damage comes in with that Snowball, and I'm going to bring this tower down to below 800 HP. That last couple Larrys on the tower doing some great work for St. Belican. 744 to 1076 as a Royal Giant is cycled in the back, and we see Belly just go right back on the offensive. You love to see it. Mother Witch down behind. Hunter up high. Fireball going to go in on the Mother Witch. Snowball comes down as well, and that should sew things up. We're going to game number 3. Very well played there by Belican. Relentless pressure is the name of the game for him, and you know what? It started off a little rough for Belly. He went maybe a little too aggressive early on with that first Valkyrie plus Mega Minion push at the bridge with the Graveyard on the back end, waiting to tick to 5 to drop that Graveyard down. He did not have a lot of elixir to deal with the counter push, but for the rest of that game, it was all Hugo who was struggling to get those Royal Giants into play. You saw him play more aggressive up high. You saw him cycled in the back, but either way, Belican was always able to create some good defense, turn that counter push into a great offense. And that's why he's one of the best in the world. You see now going on to game number 3. Game number 1 goes Hugo's way. Belly running a Mortar Earthquake to no success. But game number 2 bounces in the way of the man from the UK. Really nice pressure there. Great Graveyard deck. Quick cycle too, with a lot of good single target DPS. When you talk about those archers and the Mega Minion, really made it so that Royal Giant was able to be controlled, especially with the Brawler there. And then you talk about being able to clean up other win conditions in the game, like, of course, Graveyard. Those archers going to do good work. And having all that control of the map with the Snowball there to slow down, the Fireball to clean up the Mother Witch. Love decks like this. Love to see fast cycling Graveyard decks. Here we go. Game number 3, all tied up. Basically 0-0. So Hugo playing his 3rd deck of the day. No Barb Barrel in the Royal Giant deck. And Belican going to go on to his 3rd, or excuse me, going back to the 1st deck, I believe. Yes, Royal Delivery comes down along with Knight and Spear Goblins. So we know that Mortar, Piggies, Musketeer, and Cannon Cart are also in this deck, as the Musketeer comes out on the left-hand side to catch that Flying Machine. So Belican going to be in an interesting spot here, talking about not having Fireball to get on top of the Royal Hogs or to get on top of the Flying Machine. He's got a lot of good single target DPS, but that's not really what you want in this matchup. None of the units that Belican has does any splash damage other than, of course, the Royal Delivery, but that's only on the drop, not once it's on the ground. So a big push coming in here. Royal Delivery maybe coming down after a moment. No, not yet. Belican decides to hold for a second. Better decision there as he's able to clean all this up. But Flying Machine going to get on top of the tower. Spear Goblin's going the wrong way. Musketeer drop right below the Flying Machine to stop the bleeding. But that was a great hit coming in, evening things up for just a moment. Then the Spear Goblins go off to the left-hand side and give Belican a slight lead, about 120 HP or so. 125. Fireball in. Piggy's going to get a little bit of chip damage there on the left-hand side. Belican okay with that. So is Hugo. -1 trade for Belly. 2 elixir in favor of Hugo, who will most likely split Zappies or something in the back. No, he goes aggressive. Piggy's at the river. 1 sneaks past that Mortar, so a Knight has to come down. Not really what Belican wants to do with that Knight, at least in my opinion, but has to play it to make sure Hugo doesn't get too much out of these Royal Hogs. Now that Knight going to work towards an MK, so his Cannon Cart has to come down in the same lane. Belly just needs to let this Knight go down, yes. Spear Goblin's doing good cleaning up that flying machine. Belican doing a great job dealing with all these units that are going to cause him a lot of problems. Piggies come down. There's the delivery going to be on top. Mother Witch comes in as well. Now something up high to get on top of that flying machine. Really nice barb barrel. Good idea behind the barb barrel, but Cannon Cart was still right there to help. Three-one split here from Belican. 3 to the right, 1 to the left. MK gonna get on top of the tower there. Spear Goblins right behind. Not exactly what Belican wanted to do, but gonna take damage on the stronger of his 2 towers. Now towers basically evened up, so might be seeing more split piggies coming out of Hugo. Mortar on tower. That is a big misstep there from Hugo. 688 now on the right-hand side. Ebarb cycled behind. Belican hasn't played his Earthquake yet, hasn't found a good spot for it. Royal Delivery going to come in on top of this, maybe just half step late. Would have been nice to not get that MK leap in both directions, once up high and once on top of that cannon cart, but going to do a decent enough job cleaning this up. Knight up high here as well. There is the mortar right into a barb barrel. Good play there by Hugo, but all the units here should make this for a very small offensive presence from Hugo. Belican doing a great job cleaning things up, and now going to need to let this push go. Knight plus Spear Goblins behind. 3-1 split now in the opposite direction. 3 to the left, 1 to the right. Earthquake finally comes down there on the right-hand side, helping with the Piggies and the Mother Witch, bringing that tower down to 388. But now Royal Hogs in from his opponent. Royal Delivery going to have to come down on top of the flying machine. There it is. Nothing to deal with this push on the left-hand side. Massive push here on the left-hand side. MK jumps to that. Ebarb's behind. Flying Machine sneaks in. You see a tilt to the head there from Belican, knowing he has nothing to get on top of this Flying Machine. Flying Machine will come down, but just a little bit late. There it is. Now Royal Hogs right behind. Belican knows he's probably lost his Fireball in. That is a rough one, and you can see not happy with the final moments of that game. Belican getting overwhelmed by that brilliant push on the left-hand side. A lot distracted on the right-hand side. Maybe Belican getting a little bit too aggressive. Not 100% sure exactly how things went south for him, but it was really all about that push on the right-hand side, distracting. The Mother Witch was there, the Hogs were there, 2 cannon carts came down. So then Hugo sees that's a bit of an overspend. He goes MK plus E-Barbs at the bridge, left-hand side. Belly drops his mortar down for defense. Then the mortar's out of cycle for the Royal Hogs. Flying Machine sneaks in the corner, and it is just way too much to deal with Fireball to sew things up. And Hugo doing an exceptional job, hanging on, holding through what seemed like a game that was going all Belican's way for quite some time. But that's the thing about that deck. That deck can really overwhelm you really quickly, especially when you talk about not having a Fireball. That's really the biggest thing there. Belican was relying so much on that delivery and having to play the Musketeer up high to deal with that Flying Machine. Really, really tough stuff there when you talk about matchup conversation. No Fireball to deal with the Hogs, no Fireball to deal with the Mother Witch, no Fireball to deal with that Flying Machine. So where do you use that Royal Delivery? And then also, when you talk about being able to deal with that MK plus E-Barb's push, really tough when you only have single target DPS for the most part. Here we go. Game number 4. Belican here, life on the line. And I saw someone in the chat just a moment ago asking about the format of this tournament. So it went through regional qualifiers. We're now in the international group stage where 16 players will be whittled down every single day. We'll be saying goodbye to 1 player a day, Monday through Thursday, and then we'll be saying goodbye to 4 more, leaving us 8 remaining players for the international finals, which will be taking place in November, early on in November, the 3rd through the 6th, I believe, or 3rd through the 5th. $30,000 on the line for that, and all things will be played in best of 5s. All matches, all sets will be played in best of 5s, and the format for decks is you have to bring 3 decks to the competition, 3 pre-submitted decks to the competition. Those decks can repeat 6 of the same cards, but 2 cards must be unique in every single one of your variations of your deck. So if you want, you can run Royal Giant 3 times, but it has to be a different makeup of RG. And you also have to win with all 3 of your decks. So I hope I answered your question there, Jacob, and thank you so much for being here. Here we go. Game number 4. Belly back to Royal Hogs EQ, and Hugo going right back to Royal Giant. Royal Giant comes down. Fish boy right there, so a high mortar to make sure that that fisherman does not pull the musketeer away. Royal delivery to help sew things up or clean things up, and now mortar should get a shot on if it's high enough up. Yes, it does. Great exchange there for Belican to start. 1936 to 2374. Hogs come down. Fireball in. Doesn't want to spend the log as well. Does no chip damage as he's taken towards double. Spear Goblin prod here, and a Mother Witch in response, so a -2 trade there, but piggies do come out. Belican probably pretty happy with this, though, as you never really want that Mother Witch behind a big Royal Giant push, and then your Spear Goblins coming out after they've been cycled around once to help add some DPS, then get turned into more piggies. It's the last thing you want. Nice high skeletons there to protect, or at least try to protect the fisherman, but Musketeer still locks on anyway. Mortar comes down defensively as this Mother Witch is about to turn that Musketeer into a couple of piggies, or into a piggy, I should say. Cannon Cart kind of distracted for a second, but does deal with the Mother Witch. 3-1 split here for Belly once again. 3 to the left, excuse me, 3 to the right, 1 to the left. And as we're about to say goodbye to regulation, we get a King Tower activation in here from Hugo, who's got a nice push coming down the lane on the left-hand side. Mortar should be back in play here. There it is, Royal Delivery plus Mortar, and great job there with the Royal Delivery to make sure that Fisherman does not really become part of this equation, or at least a part of this exchange, as the Knight works down the lane with Spear Goblins behind. Nice pressure here. And another, I don't know, second, I was going to say, but I think it's like the 4th Royal Giant comes down, but another Royal Giant comes down here, and Belican decides not to play this mortar this time defensively, now tries to maybe get the mortar down offensively. We'll see in just one moment. Mother Witch cycled in the back, 3 to the right, 1 to the left with a Cannon Cart and Knight there as well. Earthquake does come in on the left-hand side, gets on top of that Mother Witch and the Princess Tower. Hogs do some good damage on the right-hand side. 1474 and 1399 to Belican's 1894. Really, Hunter here sneaks in front of that RG. Fireball going to come down, and now maybe Belican having to spend just a little bit more on defense, as this RG will get a couple shots. There it is. There's that little extra spend to make sure the RG doesn't get too much damage. Pig split once again, 2 and 2. Knight getting a bit of a booster there on the right-hand side. Knight on the tower along with the piggy, bringing that down to 951. Hugo making a bit of a misstep there defensively, now giving Belican a big lead with only 50 seconds remaining. And now if I'm Belican, I am just cycling for defense. Maybe get an early mortar out. There it is. Musketeer plus Knight down for DPS. There's the mortar. Exactly what he needs to do with 40 seconds left. Just cycle, cycle, cycle. Make sure you can get back around to a second mortar and that you have enough DPS on the board. Here we go. Cannon Cart in on the left-hand side. Knight up high. Fishboy pulls the Musketeer away. Second Musketeer comes down. Second mortar needs to come down. No, it does not. Instead, it is a Royal Delivery to help clean up. Now the mortar needs to come down. There's the high mortar to catch, but maybe not in the most opportune spot. Would have been nicer to get it up high and on the right-hand side. Piggies come in with Fireball out of play. Earthquake does go down as Belican is making a mad dash for the finish line. 522 to 616. Fireball in, and wow. Belican, left-hand side, somehow makes a connection with the Cannon Cart, I think. Not 100% sure what happened there. Maybe we can take a look in the replay booth. I was so distracted by the right-hand side, and I think so was Hugo. It looks like a Cannon Cart connects on the left-hand side to bring that tower down to just low enough. It looked like Belly lost the foot race on that right-hand side, but somehow sneaks in a bit of damage, and we're going to game number 5. You love to see it. 2 of the best in the game going head-to-head here in Gamestars. We are going the distance in our second set of the day. Let's take a look at this replay here. Cannon Cart on that left-hand side, dealing with the Fisherman, dealing with the Mother Witch, untouched right now. Hogs going on the right-hand side, and that is it. Look at that. Cannon Cart walks on through with the Spear Goblin. The late log pushes it away to save the tower, and Belican gets a grace from the Clash Royale gods. Game 5 coming your way. And did you expect anything else when you saw the matchups in Group B? Some of the numbers here from game number 4. Belican's building elixir means that 6 of those mortars came down, and that was very, very helpful, especially there at the end. Bit of a misplay, it felt like, with that high mortar from Belly that went to the center of the map with the Fisherman and the Mother Witch right there, but maybe he didn't see a better place to place that mortar. I was thinking he might have dropped it right on top of that RG, give it a little shove back. I think it still would have been outside of that fireball as Hugo was going more on tower and for support troops instead of playing it up high trying to get the mortar and the Princess Tower. But what a game. What a game. What a set. Game number 5 coming your way. Pelican gonna have to show us his third deck now. It is gonna go back to Royal Hogs, but this time with Valkyrie. We'll see what his big spell is in this deck. Mortar back down, so Valkyrie and Knight in a really interesting position in the meta right now. Obviously, one of them doing splash damage, one of them doing single target damage, but they're very much interchangeable at the moment in certain decks. Pelican not happy about that last shot that came in from the Royal Giant. We saw it yesterday from Predator, where he was playing those minor wall breakers decks. One version had the Bomb Tower and the Knight. The other version had the Tesla and the Valkyrie. Obviously, just a little bit more expensive, but, we talk about utility there. In the current meta, obviously Royal Hogs really, really prevalent, so Bomb Tower having some great matchups, but in general, it does still feel like Tesla plus Valkyrie is the stronger of the combination. Earthquake coming down here from Belly as a Royal Giant comes down. Fisherman right there. Spear Goblin's going to have to come in as well, and Bellican in a lot of trouble right now. Log comes down to reset, take those Spear Goblins off the board, and now Bellican knows that Royal Giant is going to live on his tower, going to bring it down to probably around 800 HP. Excuse me, 680. Oh my goodness. And there you see the smack of the desk from Belly. Can't believe that last shot comes in, and that is not what you want to see early on in game number 5. Electro Spirit plus Fireball, going to clean up those piggies. No damage in as Bellican feeling the weight of his early decisions here as we are ticking down. 50 seconds left of regulation. Hugo in the lead by 1,600 HP. And now just happy cycling towards that right-hand lane. Spear Goblins up high, Mother Witch there to spawn some piggies. Cannon Cart distracted, now pulled in by that Fisherman. Two Fishermen's on the board. So Cannon Cart cannot target the Mother Witch, cannot target the Princess Tower. And a second Cannon Cart coming down here from Bellican, won't even make it across the bridge. Valkyrie up high, don't know about that Valkyrie. Royal Hogs right behind. Fireball gonna come in. One Royal Hog missed. Bellican calling good game as he knows that damage already done. No way to come back from this one. He does still defend that right-hand side. Not throwing in the towel quite yet. But Hugo knows he is right there and pushing Bellican to an elimination game, which means we'll probably take a quick break in between sets 2 and 3. And that break is going to be more for Bellican than anyone else. Maybe you want to go get some more popcorn. Maybe you need to use the restroom. Bellican needs to reset his mindset and figure out how he's going to beat Gens Aslan and stay alive in Gamestars. And beating Gens Aslan, that's no easy task, my friend. Bellican's Cannon Cart does get pulled into Princess Tower range, but an Electro Spirit plus a Mother Witch there to help, and now Belly has to play defense. Mortar comes down. Hugo doing a great job of not getting too aggressive here. He knows that this is his game to lose, and so what's he doing? Just sitting back, relaxing. Hunter gets pulled in. Hunter does not get a shot on top of that Fisherman. Earthquake cycle coming in. 1 minute, 5 seconds left. Fireball down. Log just comes in, and that's going to do it. That's going to sew things up for Hugo, our former champion, starting his Gamestars run off well. Bellican on the other side of it, playing great, but just getting a little over-aggressive early on and getting punished for it in games 1 and in game 5. Which is never what you want in a game that is, luckily for Bellican, not an elimination game. We have 2 more sets coming your way. Next set, we will be saying goodbye to either Gens Aslan or Saint Bellican. And this was that moment early on. Fisherman up high to catch that mortar placed defensively. Log there for the Spear Goblins. Nothing there for that Royal Giant. And Bellican's desk taking the brunt of that exchange. see. 102 Troop Elixir out of Hugo, just cycling. Happy to do that once the damage was in early on. And that deck, which Hugo has been rocking on ladder, he puts into practice here at Gamestars in game number 5. Belican loving Hoggies and Earthquake, and he's going to have to make them work for him in this next set. Remember, 3 decks brought to the competition day. You have to win with all 3 of your decks. Now Aslan knows exactly what to look forward to. So does Belican. You know, Belly knows that he's going to play against the Golem deck. Aslan knows he's going to play against 2 Royal Hogs decks. A lot of fun coming your way. 2 more sets left in the bank here in Gamestars Day 2. Group B about to get narrowed down to 3. Belican, Aslan, we'll find out in just 1 minute.
They've made it through the forge of the qualifiers. Now it's time for them to face each other. Welcome to Clash Royale Gamestars Season 2. From October 18th to 22nd, best players from 3 regions and invited stars will clash in the group stage on the way to the throne and $30,000 prize pool. Who will survive this massacre and move forward? Tune in and watch the Royal Clash.
Hello, my name is Daniel Vian, but you probably know me as Saint Belican.
Hello, I'm Hugo Yvet, and my nickname in Clash Royale is Hugo CRV2.
Merhabalar, ismim Kadir. Oyundaki ismim ise Genç Aslan.
Cześć, mam na imię Wiktor i w grze mam nick Intry125.
There are 4 rarities: Legendary, Epic, Rare, and Common.
In the game there is common cards, rare, epic, and legendary. In total there is 4 types of cards.
Oyunda 4 tane enderlik var. Sıradan, ender, destansı ve efsanevi olmak üzere.
Wydaje mi się, że 4. Będą to commony, rare, epiki i legendarne.
I want to say 8,946.
The record of trophies since Clash Royale has been released is 9,900, and this is Mohamed Light was this.
Rekor kupa sayısı tahminimce 8600-8700 civarı olmalı.
Od początku gry myślę, że z tego co pamiętam to będzie około 8540, coś takiego.
But if it's to Legendary, I think it's 13.
I guess there is 12 area.
Clash Royale yaklaşık olarak sanırım 14 tane arena var.
Leveli arenowych. Nie mam pojęcia, 14.
I do not know. I want to say 120.
I don't remember.
13. seviyedeki bir kule ne kadar hasar verir? 70-80 civarı sanırım, tam bilmiyorum.
Myślę, że wieża na levelu 13 może zadawać około 120 damage'a.
I want to say 12.
I think there is 11 spell cards.
tek tek sayabilirim ama tam olarak sayısı yaklaşık 9-10 tane sanırım.
Karty zaklęć, no to może być około 15.
Arena for Pekka's Playhouse.
Maybe in the arena for to pick a value.
Pekka kartı Pekka'nın oyun evi arenasında açılır. 4. arena.
Karta Pekki odblokowuje się na drugiej albo trzeciej arenie.
560.
I think it's 400.
İkinci seviye ana kulenin sağlık miktarı yaklaşık 1300 galiba.
Wieża na pierwszym levelu, wieża króla na pierwszym levelu może mieć 2000 HP może.
In the international group stage of GameStars Season 2, there will be 16 players competing for the grand prize.
There is 16 players who will participate in the GameStars Season 2 League.
64 diyebilirim al, hiç bilmiyorum. Bakmadım ama baksaymış.
No, w drugim sezonie w playoffach będzie uczestniczyło 16 graczy podzielonych na 4 grupy, 4-osobowe.
So a very interesting third set of the day coming your way. That's right, we're already halfway through Group B, and we're about to say goodbye to either Gens Aslan or St. Belican. St. Belican may be playing a little bit too aggressive against Hugo, and Aslan going against Inthril early on 3-1. And I think the biggest struggle that we saw from our player from Turkey is that he has this Golem deck that he cannot seem to pick up a win with. It's a very heavy Golem deck with Cannon Cart, E-Drag, Baby Drag, Dark Prince, and Lumberjack in there. But this is what we're looking at. Elimination match against Aslan St. Belly. Winners match, Inthril and Hugo. One person will be said goodbye to after the end of our next set. And of course, at the end of the day in our winners match set, the last best of 5, one of them will go on through to our international finals. $30,000 on the line. Back to the match at hand. Talking about Belican versus Gens Aslan. Now, if I'm St. Belican, I think the best thing for him to do is maybe take game 1 as a way to feel out your opponent. You play one of your Royal Hogs decks, whether it's the one with Knight or the one with Valkyrie, and you hope that you don't run into that Golem deck. But that being said, he is going to be running his Graveyard deck. This is the best matchup for him when he's talking about that Golem deck. So if he wins this first game, he's going to struggle against that Golem deck with his other 2 decks because he just doesn't have a great way to get to the skies, right? He has the Musketeer, but in that deck, it's just the Musketeer and the Royal Delivery. In the other one of his Royal Hogs decks, he has just the Spear Goblins and the Hunter. So it's going to be difficult for him in that Golem matchup to get to those air units. Now, maybe the Valkyrie Hunter version will match up well enough because you can kind of thread the needle with that Hunter. You can distract the Golem with the Mortar. You have the Cannon Cart there to fall off the wheels and maybe distract the Golem a little bit longer. But I do still think because this deck has arrows and Fireball, and the ability to create a lot of pressure opposite lane, that this might actually match up the best against Golem. But we'll find out. Game number 1 of this best of 5 elimination set. Let's do this. Oh, brawlers saying hello to each other. Fisherman behind one, Archer behind the other. Aslan going back to his Graveyard deck that he had some great success with. Hunter and Poison. Or excuse me, not Hunter and Poison. Graveyard and Poison are the last 2 cards. As you can see, Hunter already played. Man, that trivia is tough. I'm actually really impressed that Belican knew the trophy cap in the game at, what was it, 89-46 or something like that. That was really impressive. He's the only person that's gotten it right so far, I think. And then also, you talk about knowing how much the King Tower does or something, how much damage it does, 131. That's tough. How many spell cards are in the game? Speaking of, here we go. 2 spell cards coming out. Graveyard on one end, Poison on the other. And again, talking about matchups, you know, that other deck that's being run by Aslan with Graveyard, or excuse me, with Golem, does not have a spell that can deal with Graveyard well. Does have Lumberjack, Bomber, and Electro Dragon, and Baby Dragon, and even Cannon Cart. All of those units are not bad at cleaning up a graveyard. Belican just staying hyper aggressive. Fireball in on top of the Hunter. Valkyrie still tanking here. Massive overspend coming in from Aslan. Belican up Elixir in the bank and does have the Brawler on the board. Mega Minion going to come down on top of this Electro Wizard, and that Fish Boy going to get distracted by some archers. Belican in a great spot right now. Aslan cycling this MK in the back, looking to find a moment to get his graveyard down and in play. Belican has great responses to the graveyard. You have the archers, really is going to be his best bet. And the Snowball plus Valkyrie, all those will do a good job. Setting the line high here is Belican, but not able to do it. MK walks in and out of tower range as there's a Brawler and Cannon Cart here to help clean everything up. Second Goblin Cage comes down as Belican has a nice counter push coming across the bridge here. Goblin Brawlers and a Cannon Cart. Let's see if he decides to graveyard. I don't think he should, but Belican's been very aggressive today. He decides not to. Better play there. Fireball in, misses the Hunter, gets on top of the Brawler, and that might have been a little bit too aggressive. Now, Aslan can go on the offensive, getting that second graveyard down. Here we go. 1 minute remaining. Poison in on top of the archers. Cannon Cart played as well. Line set, though. So Princess Tower able to focus on the Skellies with a little bit of help of that Cannon Cart plus the archers. Damage in from the poison. Belican in a good spot. But like I said, this does match up the best, at least in my mind, against that Golem deck and no longer going to be an option. You can see there Aslan not happy about losing his Electro Wizard. Fireball plus Cannon Cart going to do the trick. Pushes that E-Wiz in range of the Cannon Cart. Takes it out of play. Hunter out of play as well. This time Brawler, Cage, not able to set the line. So tank is in for the graveyard, as is the poison. Valkyrie comes down very, very late here. But Belican, with 16 seconds remaining, can send in a last graveyard and take the game. Graveyard's out in both direction. Cannon Cart gonna help play double duty here. Archers up high. Belican does get some good damage in. Goblin Cage comes down. Make sure it doesn't get any splash damage on tower. That is the last thing you want. Belican up by about 300 HP, 277. As you can see, Aslan smiling that game off, and it was a graveyard versus graveyard matchup, but now comes the interesting conversation. We know the other two decks from St. Belican are Royal Hogs Earthquake decks with Valkyrie or Knight. Now we know one has Musketeer. We know that the other, I believe, has Archers, yes. And then looking at Aslan's decks that are still available, you know, we have that Golem deck that he struggled with. And we also have another graveyard deck with Cannon Cart, Mother Witch, and Snowball. So we'll see what he wants to come out with in game number 2. And I'm thinking, honestly, if I'm Aslan, I try to play the Golem deck here in game number 2 just to see how it fares. I mean, obviously, all three of his decks are available as he has not won a game yet. So maybe he just goes right back to the well. But I do think I'd like to see this Golem deck come out to play. Be a good time for him to pick up a win with it. And like I said, I mean, maybe you guys in the chat can let me know, but when you're talking about matchups, I really don't think Belly matches well against that Golem deck. I think his best bet is to run the Valkyrie deck because it does have the Hunter and the Mortar and the Cannon Cart. But that Hunter is going to really have to do a lot of work for him. Other one is Musketeer and Spear Goblins, and that Musketeer I think can be controlled pretty easily by Aslan. Talk about units on the ground, being able to get to that Musketeer, with NATO being able to pull that Musketeer in. Hunter's already played so on top of the units that NATO is a little bit less effective, but since those shots are so big from the Hunter, damage will already be done. So game 1 does go in favor of Belican, but now both of these players in a very interesting spot. Aslan has 2 graveyard decks and a Golem deck. St. Belican has 2 Royal Hogs decks with Earthquake. We're going to see one of them right now in game number 2. Aslan going to that other graveyard deck with Mother Witch. Gonna see Cannon Cart, Fireball, Snowball, Bomb Tower, Mega Minion in here. So Belican is going to go with one of his 2 versions, as so far those 3 cards repeat. Those 4 cards repeat in both decks, really taking advantage of our format here. There must be something he really likes a lot about this Royal Hogs Earthquake combination. Still don't know which version he's running. All 5 of those cards repeat. The only 2 cards that change are Musketeer and Knight or Valkyrie. So there you go. Those are the 6 replicate cards. Now we know which version it is. Belican saving the 2 cards that show his face, show his hand, I should say, for the last 2 played. Last 2 are going to be Valkyrie and Hunter. So Graveyard in. I don't actually really like this Graveyard. Mother Witch going to get taken off the board there pretty easily. Seems a little uncharacteristically aggressive for Aslan. Nice fireball there, but now Royal Hogs come down as the mortar will connect on tower, and then an Earthquake can come in on top of the bomb tower if he wants. Instead goes for log, sets up the cannon cart. Beautiful log there, cannon cart on tower, and Aslan not happy about that, getting way too aggressive, and Belican read him like a book. Aslan stares down the barrel of the camera, knowing that this is already a very, very rough game number 2. But remember, Belican's last deck, Knight, Musketeer, and then the other first 6 cards that you see here, Spear Goblins, Cannon Cart, Earthquake, Royal Hogs, Mortar, and Log. That is the last deck that he has, and he has to beat both Graveyard decks and Golem deck. They're all still available. I mean, I guess he doesn't have to beat all 3 of them. So good pressure coming in here from Aslan, but Valkyrie should be able to get dropped up high. No, Hunter going to go up high instead. Spear Goblin's low. And this actually ends up being a pretty big hit here by Aslan, bringing that tower down to below 1,400 HP. But 119 remains. Earthquake going to do the trick. We're going to game number 3. Belly up 2-0 in what could be our only sweep or our first sweep of the day. We do have a 4th set. But now, very interesting position. You know what Belican has to play, right? It has to be the Knight Musketeer version of that Royal Hogs deck that we just saw. Valkyrie and Hunter will be swapped out for Knight and Musketeer. Other 6 cards remain the same. Aslan, on the other side of it, has both the Graveyard decks available and that Golem deck. Which one will he play? And this is the moment where he just spent way too much. Skeletons come down late, Belican reads him like a book, Log comes in, Cannon Cart connects, and it's game over from there on out. Belican doing a much better job in this set by slowing things down. He's still playing a little bit aggressive, but he's just not playing, you know, without regard. You can't just sell out every single push and then expect to be able to defend. You have to give your opponents a little bit more credit than that, and now Belican feels like he's doing just that, slowing things down by just a bit, but remembering his opponent's cycle, remembering his opponent's elixir count, and figuring out how to take advantage of it. And that's exactly what happened in game number 2 with that beautiful cannon cart behind the Royal Hogs. Log comes in to clean up those skeletons. And right now against Aslan, back up against the wall. He has to win 3 in a row. Luckily for him, it's all against the same deck if he wants to continue his run here at Gamestars. But that is a tall order against our former CRL Pro, Queso, Nova, Cream Royale, St. Belly. Let's go. 2 up, 2 down for the man from the UK. Let's go to game number 3. Some good competitive spirit coming out from both, and Aslan letting all of us know how he's feeling inside. A lot of pressure here. And Aslan is going to his Graveyard deck, so this is really what we were talking about. No Hunter available. It's going to be all about that Musketeer getting on top of those flying units along with the Royal Delivery. Oh, yeah, and that's my mistake. Sorry, the Log is not in this deck. It is the Royal Delivery out for the Log. So 5 of the same cards repeating. Man, I thought I was so on top of it. So close. So close. So Golem down. And this is where the fun begins. Mortar out. Royal Delivery going to come in too early. Feels a bit early, but I guess he's just really trying to make sure that Musketeer stays on the board. Now a Knight has to come out as well. Cannon Cart going to get on top of that Muskie, and Belican actually playing some brilliant defense there. No Knight has to come out. That's why he's a pro, and that's why I'm sitting here in this chair. So after a first exchange there, I'm feeling like Aslan's probably feeling pretty good about where he's at. He's up about an elixir and a half. He might not have gotten damage in, but Belican had to play that basically immaculately. And there was no Electro Dragon involved to deal with the Spear Goblins. Exchange number 2 coming your way. Musketeer low. Yep, there it is. Musketeer going to be here to help this Cannon Cart. Cannon Cart will not cross or get in tower range with that NATO, and now a Knight comes down as well to support this push, and a very nice push indeed. Belican with the Knight in tow takes the bomber out of play. Royal Hogs on the tower, and Aslan maybe taking a page out of his opponent's book, just getting a little bit too aggressive here in game number 3. Maybe feeling the heat of that fire, that elimination fire, trying to stay alive, but doing too much too early. Is Aslan with 30 seconds remaining in regulation. Belican up by a mile here. And apparently a mile equates to about 1,500 HP. And that has Royal Delivery written all over it. Royal Delivery does come down on top of that Dark Prince. Dark Prince going to get taken out by that Princess Tower. Cannon Cart right behind to help. Musketeer is in as well, and Electro Dragon going to slow that stuff down with a little bit of chain lightning and some good tower damage in, and that's exactly what I was saying before, is that Electro Dragon is going to be a nuisance to deal with. Belican needs to take this lead that he has and just get out of this game alive. Earthquake comes in. Dark Prince up high. Maybe a Knight to catch here. Yes, there's the Knight. Doesn't want to spend the delivery yet, as he needs to save that delivery for other units coming down. Cannon Cart here to help with this Golem. Now hovering that delivery is Belican, I'm sure. Delivery does come down just in time. Musketeer there as well. Got to deal with this Cannon Cart plus Lumberjack push. No problems there. 520 remains. 1309 to 520. Belican maybe going to try to cycle Earthquake once again. Does. There it is. Good use for the Earthquake. Takes the bomber out of play with one shot of the Cannon Cart. And now just a couple Earthquake cycles away. Hoggies come down now. NATO maybe? Lumberjack is in? No. Aslan just throws in the white towel. And what an uncharacteristically tough day for the player from Turkey. An exceptional player in all of Clash Royale that goes 1-6 on the day. 1-3 against Inthril, 0-3 against St. Belican, and that is going to be the end of his run here in GameStars. It's a shame for us. I know that we're all a big fan of Gens Aslan, but just not able to put it together today. The Golem deck he really struggled with, not able to find one win with that deck. And honestly, I did think that it was going to match up pretty well against these Earthquake Royal Hogs decks, but when you talk about having responses to those big pushes, it was only then that Belican went in when the responses were out of cycle. I mean, when you talk about dealing with those Royal Hogs pushes, you want to have the Dark Prince, you want to have the NATO, the E-Dragon really helps with stunning and resetting, but never really having those cards in the tank was Gens Aslan, who is now eliminated from competition. He'll be joining Dia Boom, watching and waiting for season number 3. Belican stays alive at least for another couple days. He'll be back out in the competition on the 22nd, where he'll be playing in that decider match against the loser of either Inthril or Hugo. And that's a big mountain to climb for Inthril. Hugo, a very good player. Whew. Wow, what an incredible back-to-back sets there from Belican. You know, he struggles in set number 1, not able to do exactly what he wants to do. It does go the distance against Hugo, getting a little too aggressive in game 5, but then comes out against the man from Turkey, who is just maybe feeling the pressure a little too much. Belly slows things down, comes out with a nice 3-0 win. We are going to go to our 4th and final set. One player going to move on to our international finals. The other one will face off against St. Belican on Friday. But first, we're going to take a very quick break.
They've made it through the forge of the qualifiers. Now it's time for them to face each other. Welcome to Clash Royale Gamestars Season 2. From October 18th to 22nd, best players from 3 regions and invited stars will clash in the group stage on the way to the throne and $30,000 prize pool. Who will survive this massacre and move forward? Tune in and watch the Royal Clash.
And we're back. Gamestars Clash Royale Season 2 is running full steam, packed with high-octane action, intricate strategy, and mountains of gold. Mix the elixirs and hop on your hog, Chief. Time to find out who will dominate the clans. Subscribe, join our stream, and witness brave heroes fighting in Gamestars Clash Royale Season 2. Ride on, piggy!
So our final set coming your way today, the 4th and final set, where Hugo will be facing off against Inthrill from France and Poland, respectively. And when you talk about the matchups that we're going to see, it should be really exciting. This is the path that we've taken to get to where we are today. Inthrill going 3-1 against Aslan, and then Hugo besting St. Belican in a 5-game set, 3-2. St. Belican resets right away and comes out and 3-0s Aslan, who will be joining Dia Boom, and our 2 eliminated players of the competition so far. Going to be eliminating 1 more tomorrow, 1 more on Thursday, and 4 more on Friday. But now, Belly waiting to see in that decider match who he will face off against on Friday. And then on Friday, one of those guys we will say goodbye to, whether it be St. Belican, Hugo, or Inthrill, which we'll know a little bit more about here in just a few games. And talking about the games, Inthrill, Royal Ghost, Royal Giant, Royal Hogs. Well, I know Royal Ghost isn't the win condition in his Ram Rider deck, but he does have all 3 of those Royals in his 3 respective decks. And then Hugo has Fireball Log in every single one of the 3 decks that he brought to play today, which is going to be really helpful for him. When you talk about that log being there to slow down and reset that Ram Rider, Fireball looking for the Mother Witch of Inthrill. And of course, the other one was that Mortar deck, and that Mortar deck does have Fireball Log in it as well, which would fare pretty good against Inthrill's Royal Hogs deck, because that Fireball will most likely want to be saved for the Mother Witch in that matchup. But he still has the Log, he still has the E-Barbs, and the E-Barbs with a Mortar do a pretty good job of cleaning up the Royal Hogs. So what will come out first from Inthrill and what will come out first from Hugo? Well, when you look at what Inthrill is running, personally, I think Hugo should maybe play his Mortar deck first. In the other 2 decks that Hugo is playing, one of them has no building at all, and then one of them has, well, I guess I should say the other 2 decks have no buildings at all, but one of them does have the Fisherman, which should help kind of control the map just a little bit. But I do believe that Mortar deck will fare very well against all 3 of Inthrill's decks. But coming out with it first should secure you a win, especially with the way that Hugo plays that deck, and then kind of give you a little bit of knowledge on what you should be expecting next. If Hugo does come out with that Mortar deck first, then maybe you would expect in game number 2 from Inthrill to maybe play Royal Giant. And then if that's the case, then maybe you'll see Hugo go to his Royal Giant deck with Fisherman. So a lot of mind games coming your way. And if you guys are wondering why I'm doing all these mental gymnastics, it's because in Gamestars, each player brings 3 decks to the competition. They have to win with all 3 of those decks, and those decks can repeat 6 of the same cards, but 2 of them have to be unique every single time around. Belican's gotten the closest to, I think, just replicating a deck. Him and Predator. Predator, I think, just swapped out 2 cards. Belican swapped out 3, and there's no problem with that, as you saw Belican picking up 3 easy wins there into the 3rd set of today. But now it's all about our champions matchup between Inthrill and Hugo. Let's go Hugo first. Hugo lost with his Royal Giant deck, but then was able to turn that around for a Game 5 win. He also lost with his... Actually, you know what? Both of his losses come from his Royal Giant deck. Otherwise, he was able to do it with MK Royal Hogs, and he was able to do it with the Mortar deck. So both of his losses coming from the Royal Giant deck. We'll see when he likes to bring that out to play. And then for Inthril, the only loss that came from him was with that Ram Rider MK deck, but he was able to turn it around in game number 4 and pick up that final win against Aslan's Golem deck, which unfortunately for against Aslan, that Golem deck just did not have a good matchups at all today, or maybe it's just the way that he played it. Maybe not exactly his comfort style or his comfort deck, but either way, we'll have to know more about that in a different competition, or maybe in GameStars Season 3. Maybe we'll see him at Royale Masters this weekend. Hugo from France, Inthril from Poland. Winners set coming your way, and here's those decks from that conversation we were having. And just like I was talking about, only 2 decks were struggled with, one on either side of the board. Otherwise, it was 100% from top to bottom. Mortar and Royal Hog split there. You talk about for Hugo in games 1 and games 5, 100% win rate. It was only the Royal Giant in the middle that he struggled with, and on the other side of it, Inthril with that MK Ram Rider deck. I think one of the best things for Inthril when looking at the matchups that he's going up against, there's only one deck with a building, but he does have Fireball Log to deal with in 2 of the 3 decks, and Fireball plus Barb Barrel to deal with in that final deck. Not having the knockback shouldn't be as big of an issue because he does have the slow stun of those Zappies and the knockback of the MK and all that great single target DPS from those E-Barbs. Here we go. Set number 4. Hugo at the top, our former GameStars champion, going up against Inthril, one of our finalists along the way from Season 1. So Hugo going to Royal Giant in game number 1. Inthril going to Ram Rider. So could have been worse for Inthril when you talk about not having Fireball for that Mother Witch. Not going to be as big of an issue as there's not a lot of good Mother Witch bait cards being played by Inthril. And that Poison should do a great job against the Hunter and the Mother Witch. Hunter comes out, meets that Ram Rider, takes her out of play. Royal Giant comes down immediately here. 10 Elixir in the bank for Inthril to deal with, and an MK probably going to come down on top of this. There it is, MK in. Hunter out of play. Royal Giant does get a couple shots in, but now a good counter push should come down the lane. Maybe a Royal Ghost opposite lane just to add pressure. No, he goes same lane with the Royal Ghost. Fireball in, and that's maybe why I was thinking that it could be better to go opposite, but MK stays in play. Tower gets reset on that MK, and pressure, pressure, pressure, name of the game here for Inthril as this pile up on the left-hand side of Hugo, bring it down to 542. And Inthril has played some exceptional Clash Royale lately over at Royale Masters. He was undefeated 2 weeks in a row in our qualifier day on Saturday, which means he was able to pick up 6 set wins in a row and then 7 set wins in a row, one weekend after the other. And no surprise, he's been putting in the work, and it's really showing through. Poison to get a little bit of chip, make sure that Mother Witch doesn't cause any problems down the line, and high Inferno Dragon here, nothing to deal with it. Fireball does come down for the reset, and then no Electro Spirit to try to do anything too fancy there out of Hugo. Probably the best bet, as this Ram Rider will not get to tower. Nice pull there by the Fisherman. And an Electro Spirit cycled opposite lane with a Royal Giant. So Royal Ghost there to help take that E-Spirit out of play, and you know, I am curious to see when we'll start to see Inthril using his Ram Rider as a way to slow and stop that Royal Giant. I guess, honestly, he might not need to really. I mean, definitely not on the left-hand side. Ewa's going to take this tower out of play, and this should be an easy game number 1. There is the Ram Rider up high with the Royal Ghost. Whole point of this here is to make sure that if the Royal Giant were to come down, the Ram Rider would already be slowing it, so here we go. Easy game win 1. Hugo down 1 as Inthril picks up a really nice game, or set opener, I should say, with the deck he struggled with the most. So now the deck that Inthril struggled with in his first set of the day, or our first set of the day, I should say, since we opened up on him, this Ram Rider MK deck, he finds a win with in his opening game of our final set against Hugo here. And so now you talk about the rest of the decks available for Inthril, and they're both at 100% win rate, as he only lost 1 game in his opening set. Hugo on the other side of it. He lost 2 games to Belly, both of them with this deck, which is interesting because when you go and you look at the battles, Hugo has been practicing with his deck a lot on ladder, and he's had a lot of success on ladder with it as well, but not able to quite replicate that success here at GameStars against this level of competition. So, Hugo from France, Inthro from Poland. Only one Inferno had to come into play. You saw it get reset by that fireball, but then a little bit more defensive assistance was provided. Royal Giant not being too effective for Hugo today. Maybe that's why we've seen him practicing it so much. That's the interesting thing, is when you know a deck is super strong in the meta, when you know that the Royal Giant deck, for instance, is one of the most popular out there, it's hard to just not want to play it. But it does feel like this is not really Hugo's go-to play style. And, you know, another deck that's really popular out there that we haven't seen at all is Lava Hound variants, whether Lava Clone, whether it be Lava Clone or whether it be Lava Minor Guards. Shocked that actually in our entire day of competition, we did not really go to the skies at all between the 4 competitors. And we know it's not going to happen at this point. So Hugo going to Mortar. Inthro going to Royal Giant, I believe. Royal Hogs is what I meant to say. Hugo does not have any way to spawn piggies on the board with this deck specifically. The other 4 cards that you can be looking for are Log, thank you so much, Hugo, Fireball, Elite Barbarians, and Musketeer. So maybe going to see a high Muskie here. Yes, we are. And we'll see if he wants to support this Musketeer as he's about to tick to 10, and he does not. He goes Minor. Oh, he does, excuse me. He goes Minor to the Cannon Cart. Log is there. Musketeer now out of play with the Cannon Cart. Nice Log there out of Inthrill. And Hugo with a bit of an overspend. Now a little bit behind in Elixir technically because the Cannon Cart is on the board. So Mother Witch, nice high Mother Witch here. Fireball going to go on top of her. 1 piggy does spawn, but immediately goes away. And look at this beautiful push on the right-hand side. Piggies plus Skeleton Dragons. He knew E-Barbs was the only thing left in cycle for his opponent. Now Hugo has to overspend again. Spear Goblins come out behind the Elite Barbarians. Very little bit of damage done, but this is exactly what Inthro wants to do. Now, there will be an Ice Golem to catch. Yes, Ice Golem is there to catch. Don't really love that. Yes, Skeletons do make the Ice Golem go out of play fast enough. Minor has to come down to protect. Really nice sequence there by Inthro. Even though he's down in damage, he was able to recognize the cycle of his opponent and make him have to really respond in the best, or I guess kind of in panic mode, but Hugo, because he's as good as he is, was able to get down the best responses he needed. Royal Hogs out once again. E-Barb's there to catch. No Fireball being used, and now Fireball is available for the Skeleton Dragons if he wants, which he might. Yes, he does, because the Musketeer is off in no man's land. Wants to make sure those Skeleton Dragons are out of play, and these E-Barbs create as much pressure as possible. Brawler goes off the board just in time. Cannon Cart completely healthy, though. Nice Log. A little bit of chip. And makes Hugo have to overspend here once again. Minor up high, and Minor there to make sure those Spear Goblins don't just turn into pigs. Musketeer there as well. Hugo creating some nice pressure on the left-hand side. Still in the lead, but just by a hair. Technically, Hugo, I believe, going back to the well, is last time we were playing GameStars, E-Barbs were still very much firmly in the meta, and I believe this is one of the most popular Mortar decks in the game, but actually making a little bit of a resurgence right now as I've been seeing some more Grand Challenge wins and top ladder players playing this version of Mortar. I think Coca RX was playing it. I think Wallace was playing it. Musketeer here. And kind of the same situation which we saw in the matchup with Belican, which is just a really tough time getting on top of those miners. You know, Skeleton's going to be a good way to get on top of the miner for at least a couple of hits, but then the Cannon Cart really going to be the cheapest and most effective response, taking it off the board and getting a counter push. And you really always want to have, if you have the option, I mean, yes, if you need the plus elixir trade, but if you have the option, you basically always want to go for the counter push. Nice cannon cart there, really, really great placement. Now we get high Royal Hogs to deal with this Musketeer, and Royal Hogs going down the lane, met by some E-Barbs and a log, and that should be 0 damage in as we see a pile up here at the river coming in. Nice fireball there out of Hugo, and now a Mother Witch going to have to come down to defend against this push. A pretty heavy push. Log does reset that second E-Barb with the Piggy, and Mother Witch stays alive. So now Inthro putting together a very nice push. Fireball coming in on top of the 2 E-Barbs. Would have been nice to save that for just a second longer. Would have been able to get it on the 2 E-Barbs and the tower and the mortar. Ooh, Musketeer, Fireball from Hugo goes to the Skeleton Dragons instead of the Mother Witch. Now Mother Witch being protected by Inthro. Log comes down here for the Cannon Cart. Cannon Cart going to get taken off of its wheels, but Mother Witch does kill the Musketeer. Now we see a Fireball going in both directions. One offensive, one defensive, as Inthro is down by about 100 HP. Cycled Skeletons early on here. Mother Witch turns that into a Piggy. Royal Hogs coming in. Fireball has to come down here from Inthro. Fireball will go in, but not enough damage in time. 1343 to 1306. Goodness, that was a close one. 37 HP, and Hugo did have a Fireball in the air, but had one more of those Piggies connected to tower. We might be looking at a 2-0 set right now because that Fireball was just a second behind by Hugo, and that's something he's going to want to make sure he locks up going into game number 3. But what will Hugo bring out in game number 3? Will he go back to that Royal Giant deck, which he has struggled with the most today, or will he give himself a break and go to the Royal Hogs deck that he played with Mega Knight? We'll find out in just a few minutes. But here we go. Final moments of the game here. Inthro doing a really good job protecting that Mother Witch, keeping her on the board. Musketeer ends up turning into a Piggy, I believe, but then those Royal Hogs go in on the left-hand side. Hugo plays great defense and is able to just stay ahead by, 37 HP, right? Doesn't get much closer than that. So Inthro finds his first loss today with that deck. Not able to make the Royal Hogs happen. So he can go back to the well with that, or he can go over to his Royal Giant deck. We'll see what he wants to do now with Mortar out of play for Hugo. It's either Royal Giant or, like I said, Royal Hogs Zappies. So maybe Royal Giant becomes just a little bit more appetizing here for Inthrill. But there's a lot of good single target DPS in the E-Barbs and that Flying Machine. And of course, dropping that MK down right at the river. But the other side of it is Inthrill's other deck. Going to be Graveyard, I believe. Oh, excuse me, Royal Hogs, Royal Ghost. Royal Giant. And it will be the Royal Hogs version here coming out from Inthrill again. As you just saw him lose with this. He's going to go right back to the well. He'll be feeling a little bit more lucky. As Hugo going back to his Royal Hogs deck. Fireball plus Skeletons for an even trade. So Royal Hogs in both directions, two very different versions though, as Hugo has the E-Barbs and the MK and Zappies in his deck, and as we just saw out of Inthrill, Skeleton Dragon's Mother Witch Cannon card. Royal Hogs going off to the right-hand side, met by a Mega Knight there, and a Mother Witch does come down to turn this Flying Machine into a pig, and we'll see what Inthrill wants to spend here on the right-hand side, maybe an MK of his own. Or MK. Wow, my words are all over the place. A Goblin Cage to catch his MK. It's all right, Drew, wake up, wake up. Early today for me. Royal Hogs in. Fireball most likely going to come down here from Inthrill as he ticks to 4 Elixir. And Hugo here just ahead of the game by quite a bit. Still got 2.5 Elixir in the bank over his opponent and just demanding pressure come out of him. Now Mega Knight can come down again. Here we go. Mega Knight now working towards the weaker of the 2 towers. All things going Hugo's way here in game number 3. High flying machine to catch the cage. Nice play there. And look at that. Zappy's doing work, keeping this flying machine alive. Now flying machine can be able to deal with the brawler and deal with the cannon cart here. Flying machine off in that perfect spot in no man's land. Mother Witch has to come down. Fireball comes in just in time, and that is a beautiful fireball by Hugo. Beautiful. Inthrill starting to feel the pressure here in game number 3. Going to go down in the set now after picking up game number 1 with ease. And E-Barb's there to catch the cannon cart. Skeleton Dragons up high with skeletons. Keep this brawler alive. Now you can turn this into a really nice counter push. Barbarian Barrel cycled in the right-hand side. Cannon cart going to go that direction. Log going to hit the Mother Witch, the Piggy, one of the Zappies in the Princess Tower. Great value there. Cage plus Skeleton Dragons. That has Fireball written all over it, right? Yes, it does. There it is. Log comes in last second. Pig does get on the tower, though. 658 to 2 very healthy towers. You go. Hogs deck to basic perfection today, but struggling with his Royal Giant deck. Ooh, and that is a juicy fireball. Fireball comes down, doesn't hit the flying machine, doesn't hit the Mother Witch. Mother Witch does not connect, though, to tower, but does take the cannon cart off the board and gets one more pig down, taking that tower to 438 HP. Mother Witch out of play for Hugo now as Royal Hogs get on tower on both sides, but very little damage truly done. Fireball right there, easy fireball value. Skeleton Dragons and cannon cart out of play. Now Mother Witch going to get a little bit more life to her, but played up high. Sniped off the board by that flying machine. Now Royal Hogs back into play. 14 seconds remain. Mega Knight is there, and that's going to do it for game number 3. Hugo on top here, working through this winner set of Group B. Only needs to pick up one more game, and now Inthrill in a very different position than he was in at the end of his first set today. He goes 3-1 against Aslan to get him into the winner's bracket. Now running into Hugo, who had to go the distance against St. Bellican. Now Hugo will have to win with the Royal Giant deck that he struggled with today. He lost to Bellican with it. He lost to Inthrill with it, but now he must pick up a win here, and he's got 2 opportunities to do it. Speaking of Royal Giant, that's still in play for his opponent in Inthrill. Inthrill has 2 decks available. One of them is a Royal Giant E-Barbs Fisherman deck, and the other one is what we just saw in that Royal Hogs deck, which he has not been able to pick up a win with over Hugo. Game 3 of 5. 2 losses in a row with that Royal Hogs deck, and now maybe he'll try to go to Royal Giant instead. Hugo happy to pick up that dub. A lot of great responses to all the things that Inthrill had to offer. Fireball there for the pigs. E-Barbs there to deal with the cannon carts, aggressive. Mega Knight there to deal with the pigs. And of course that flying machine Mother Witch combo, so pesky. For some reason it just felt like the flying machine Mother Witch combo was just a little bit more powerful than the Mother Witch Skeleton Dragon combination from Inthrill. Here we go. Game number 4. Inthrill back up against the wall. Our former champion from France in the lead once again. He has struggled with this deck the most in his run today. Inthrill going to Royal Giant as well. So an Royale matchup. Fish Boys out in both directions. Hugo's will get the pull. Supported there with the Mega Minion. Mother Witch in tow. Gonna turn that into a piggy. Inthril. Nice hit here early on. 2208. And technically an elixir lead with this Mega Minion in play. There you go. Skeletons have to come down, all evened up. 2208 to 2462. Once again, this is the deck that Hugo has played the most on ladder recently, but it's also the deck he's struggled with the most here at Gamestars today. Three competitors remain in Group B. St. Belican waiting eagerly to see who he's going to face off against on Friday in that decider match. E-Barbs come down here. A couple shots will come in from that Royal Giant, but a beautiful counter push coming in from Inthril. Fireball maybe goes on top of those two. Fireball played too recently, excuse me. Fisherman will pull the Royal Giant in. Royal Giant will get on top of tower right there in the Hunter's face. 1564, 1954. Inthril still in the lead and in a good spot elixir-wise to deal with this Hunter. Becomes a fascinating conversation of if Inthril ends up winning this game, he'll have to go to Royal Hogs and Hugo will have to stay with this Royal Giant deck. Royal Giants in both direction. Hunter behind Hugo's. Mega Minion behind Inthrill's. Highest DPS units on the board. Ooh, and that is going to be a good value Fisherman plus E-Barbs. If the E-Barbs turn around, though, they do not turn around. Fisherman pulls in that Royal Giant. Royal Giant going to town on that right-hand tower. And a beautiful little bit of defense coming out from Hugo as we see Inthril setting up a big push here on the right-hand side, or left-hand side, excuse me. Fisherman does pull the Royal Giant in. Fireball takes that Mother Witch out of play. Skeletons are high enough to turn that Mega Minion back around. 552 remains on that left-hand tower. It looks like we are going to go to game number 5. Hugo back on the offensive. Fisherman right behind that Royal Giant. Royal Giant getting logged back. Another Fisherman comes down as that first Fish Boy stay on the board for quite some time. Royal Giant getting a lot of damage in as we see Inthril going back on the offensive. No Fisherman should be in cycle. Hunter is there. Now looking to take this out of play. Fireball comes down. Second shot comes in. We're going the distance. Game number 5 in our winner's set. You love to see it. You love to see it. Two veterans of Gamestars, two veterans of Clash Royale. They're both on the CRL leaderboard. They've both been in the Royale Masters Open Qualifier. And here we are going to game number 5. Inthril is going to be playing Royal Hogs. Hugo will be playing this Royal Giant deck that he has not been able to find a lot of success with. The good thing for Hugo is that this deck does have Fireball, Log, Electro Spirit, Hunter, and Fisherman in it. Those are all going to really help with the Royal Hogs coming out from Inthril. On Inthrill's side of it, I think the biggest thing that he's going to struggle with is single target DPS. He needs to make sure he's able to keep up with the cycle of those Royal Giants and take them out of play fast enough. When you talk about single target DPS for Inthril, he really only has the Cannon Cart, the Skeletons, the Brawler, and the Skeleton Dragons. Those are his damage dealing cards along with the Mother Witch, but we all know that those don't do a ton of damage. Really, it's about the 3 that I first mentioned in the Skeletons, the Brawler out of the Goblin Cage, and of course that Cannon Cart. So we'll see how Inthril is going to fare against Royal Giant. Does have a building to deal with it, does have the cage to play up high on top of the Royal Ghost, or excuse me, the Royal Giant, and he also has the log there to push it back. Game number 5 coming your way, about to be in the books. Inthril, bottom of your screen from Poland. Top of your screen, Hugo, our former champion from France. So both players trying to figure out how they want to start this game. Log there, gonna reset Cannon Cart onto the Skeletons. And Skeleton Dragons come out just in time to keep that Cannon Cart alive. And now a Fireball has to come in. Cannon Cart gets distracted, or excuse me, gets hit down with the Fireball, and then a High Fisherman there. Nice defense from Hugo, but he did get a little overly aggressive. And as you can see, even in Elixir and down by already 700 HP is Hugo in one lane and 400-ish HP in the other. Cannon Cart out of play. Hugo ticks to 10, maybe sets up an RG in the back. There it is. I'm okay at my job sometimes. Inthrill maybe going to set up a Cannon Cart in the back. He goes Goblin Cage. Feel the tension from France, Poland, and from Los Angeles, where I am. No one wanting to overcommit. No one wanting to overspend. No one wanting to make a mistake. Nice high skeletons there to protect the brawler. Fishman walks around the block. RG does get a shot on tower. 2026 to 1672. Now down to 1954. Big push coming in here. Fireball value great there, but not on top of the Mother Witch as well. Nice sequencing there by Inthrill. Inthrill's Mother Witch does stay in play. We'll take the Royal Hog out, or excuse me, the Spawned Hog out. And now this E-Spirit going to do a good job cleaning up and holding it in position for that Princess Tower. Locking everything back. Skeleton Dragons up high. Very interesting high Skeleton Dragons. Nice Fireball there. Gets on top of the Mother Witch. Gets on top of the Hunter. And of course, gets some good damage in on this Royal Giant. Now a Log going to push that back out of range. And a Cannon Cart still there to take this Fisherman out of play. But my goodness, this cycle from Hugo is insanity. Fisherman still on the board. Cannon Cart goes off the wheels. Nice high Skeleton Dragons here with the Brawler. Royal Giant will not get a shot in. Hunter behind, 1656 to 1365. And what felt like a one-sided game for quite some time now feels like it might be falling in the direction of Hugo. E-Spirit plus Fireball going to clean all that up. Skeletons are there. But right there, ready to go, is the Mother Witch. Hugo, expecting the Mother Witch, gets his skeletons down in time. Excuse me, his Royal Giant in time to protect those skeletons, turning into too many pigs. Now Brawler crossing the river, getting on top of that Fisherman. Hog will get to tower, will not get a hit though. 13-21, 15-12. 1 minute and 30 seconds remain in our last set of the day. Royal Giant on tower again. Royal Hogs come in. Cannon Cart up front though. Goes off the wheels, but it is now tanking for the Royal Hogs. No Fireball ready. Hugo taking a load of damage here, and that should do it. That's gonna do it. Inthrill will be our champion from Group B, and Hugo and St. Bellican will be having a rematch on Friday, and that can't be feeling too good for Hugo. Felt like the game had shifted back in his direction for quite some time, but an overly aggressive Fireball at the river leaves him open and available for those Royal Hogs to come down the lane. Fireball comes in with the Cannon Cart, with the Royal Hogs. Hunter goes off the board. Tower goes down. Beautiful stuff from Inthrill today. He goes the distance in our winner's set. He goes 3-1 to start the day. What a great showing from the man from Poland. And there it is at the very end. Fireball on top of the Hunter. Fireball on top of the Skellies. Fireball on top of the Princess Tower. And you can see he's not celebrating yet. Maybe a little bit. You get a little bit. Okay, all right, man. There you go. Enjoy it. Enjoy yourself. You played through one of the most difficult groups that we have. Groups A, B, C, and D, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, respectively. But Group B, in my opinion, really did look like the most stacked of the groups that we're going to see. Although SB, Sasa, COK, and Topic might have something to say about that tomorrow. But that's tomorrow. And right now we are talking about Inthrill coming out on top. Look at that. Two great sets going the distance. One sweep in there to say goodbye to Gens Aslan. And of course, the man from Poland who won the day, started the day off as well, 3-1. That's great, huh? Talk about a Tuesday for Inthrill. Starts Group B out with a 3-1 win, and then is able to go the distance against our former champion. That's right, Hugo won Gamestars just 5 months ago. And he falls here. He will now be in our decider match on Friday against St. Bellican, but this is what we're going to see tomorrow. SB and Sasa to open up the day. SB, our invite. as he got second place last year, or he was in, our semifinals last season. COK and Topic will be the second match of the day tomorrow for Group C, and we're going to have to say goodbye to one of them. 2 players have already moved on to our international finals in Thrill, and of course, who we saw yesterday out of Predator. 2 players have also been said goodbye to in Gens Aslan and Dia Boom. And we're not even halfway through our week yet of GameStars. Make sure you are following along with GameStars on all social media platforms. We're on Twitter, we're on Instagram. Make sure you are following along on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications. That way you know when we go live every single time that we do it. 6 p.m. CEST, 9 a.m. over here on the West Coast, noon if you're over on the East Coast, every single day this week. And then, of course, our international finals coming your way in just a couple weeks. $30,000 on the line. Congratulations to Predator. Congratulations to Inthril. We'll see them in just a little while down the road at our international finals. And we'll see you guys tomorrow for day 3 of our GameStars International Group Stage. I am Andrew Guy. For everyone here at GameStars, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you tomorrow. Keep on clashing.
They've made it through the forge of the qualifiers. Now it's time for them to face each other. Welcome to Clash Royale Gamestars Season 2. From October 18th to 22nd, best players from 3 regions and invited stars will clash in the group stage on the way to the throne and $30,000 prize pool. Who will survive this massacre and move forward? Tune in and watch the Royal Clash.